Okay, so now what I'm going to talk about is perichondritis of the ear. Let's make it a little bit bigger. This is the subject we're going to talk about. Now, of the ear is the infection or inflammation. It doesn't have to be infection of the perichondrium. Now, remember that the perichondrium is around hyaline cartilage, and I say hyaline cartilage and not just cartilage because other type of cartilage for example fibro cartilage, they doesn't have a perichondrium. So we're talking about the opa the hyaline cartilage, which has perichondrium, and we're talking around the ears, so the perichondrium around the ear, and we are talking about inflammation of the perichondrium. This is perichondritis. Now, it doesn't have to be uh, infectious. There are other causes of perichondritis which are not infectious. For example, we have trauma, which can cause, including burns, which can cause perichondritis. Insect bites can also cause inflammation, infection. Ear piercing is very important because it's one of the important causes of the perichondritis throughout the cartilage. Now, cyst conditions like granulomatosis with polyangiitis or relapsing polychondritis. Yes, we're talking about vasculitis that can cause perichondritis without piercing. So, if patient has perichondritis without any identifier cause, think about GPA, think about uh, inflammatory diseases. Superficial infections. I don't know, superficial infections, for example, from the pinna that spread. Okay, those can cause it. Now, remember that the perichondrium, if we are looking on the perichondrium, so the perichondrium, yes, here we have the ear. Now, the perichondrium is around the cartilage and is very important for the nourishment of the cartilage. So, if the perichondrium is damaged and it is taking off the cartilage doesn't have where to get its nutrient form. Remember that cartilage should be avascular. So if there is a disconnection between the perichondrium and the cartilage, like can be in the perichondritis, the cartilage can die and it can cause deformities. For example, cauliflower ear that can be caused by it. Cauliflower ear that can be caused by it, and you can see how the ear is, I don't know, like deformed, okay, because the death of the cartilage that can be caused by the separation of perichondrium from the cartilage. Okay, and if we are here, let's look at it. And as you saw, there are many photos about sport because trauma can cause it. Now you can see the perichondritis, the inflammation of the area in the perichondrium. Okay. Now, what are the symptoms that the patient will have? Signs, you saw this erythematous perichondrium. So erythema, as you saw, pain, swelling. Now it can be very dangerous and devastating disease if it's not treated as needed. Now, if we're talking about treatment of perichondritis, if we're talking about treatment of perichondritis, we're talking about oral antibiotics, especially if you understand that the cause is infectious, for example, from piercing that can cause an infection to get inside. Typically, we need an antibiotic that can penetrate cartilage, so fluoroquinolones are used. Sometimes, so let's say plus minus aminoglycoside and semi-systemic semi-synthetic penicillin. So those are the antibiotics that can be used. And sometimes systemic steroids can be used to reduce the inflammation, and the inflammation is one of the things that can cause complications. And if there is an abscess, so incision and drainage to take off the pus and everything. So this is it. This is about perichondritis of the ear. We have the perichondrium, which is around hyaline cartilage, which can be inflamed, not must be infected, but it also can be inflamed only. It can be for infections, but it can also be not for infections. We have the causes that can be, the symptoms that we can see as we saw in the images, and the treatment is based on the causes. Antibiotics, because we want a way to understand sometimes if it's infectious or not, steroids to reduce the inflammation, and drainage of the abscess, because if there is pus, we need to drain it. And remember that it can cause long lasting deformities of the ear, as we saw in the images. Thank you very much. This was about perichondritis. If there are any mistakes or corrections, please tell me. And that's it.